Dear ladies and gentlemen, this is the 3 minutes thesis competition of this year, 2022, at Nanyang Technological University here in Singapore. We welcome you all, especially the 17 finalists, the 3 jury members, which we'll introduce later, the 3 special guests. This is Professor Vivian Wan Sui Ling, Deputy Associate Provost for Student Wellbeing here at NTU, Ms. Tan Seok San, Director Student Affairs of NTU, and Ms. Wendy Gui, Deputy Director of NTU. And of course, everybody else in the audience, wherever you are, at home, in the office, or wherever you are. Give a little overview over the competition. Originated from the University of Queensland, 3 minutes thesis competition is about presentation skills, and it is about presenting your thesis, your subject, within 3 minutes by using just one slide without any animation, just by the explanation of the presenter. The 17 finalists are coming out of the school intern competitions to this finale, and we're going to see 17 amazing presentations tonight. My name is Philip. I'm going to lead you through this evening. And before we start, let's watch a short highlight video together. Perfect. This is the 3MT 2022. Next, I'm going to introduce the jury of this year's competition. This is Professor George Augustine on the left. He's professor in the Lee Kong Chian School of Medicine, LKC, founded the Center for Functional Connectomics at KIST in Korea, where he serves as a director. He's member of the program in neuroscience and behavioral disorders at the Duke NUS School. He's a former member of the Department of Neurobiology at the Duke Medical School in America. He's well known for his studies in brain synaptic mechanisms and published more than 200 articles and served on editorial boards of numerous scientific journals. Thank you so much for being part of this competition, Professor Augustine. Next, second jury is Dr. Eileen Fong Wen Mei. She's a senior lecturer at the Material Science School and Engineering. She did her PhD in bioengineering at Caltech, Californian Institute of Technology in America. Her research interests are in synthetic biology, protein engineering, and cell biology for both biological and engineering applications. Also, from my side, a warm welcome to you. And the third jury that we have is Dr. Angela Frattarolo. She's a director at the Language and Communication Center, LCC, here at NTU. She taught first-year writing courses, classes on modernism and 20th century literature, and wrote also a book called Modernist Soundscapes, Auditory Technology and the Novel. Besides her publication in these fields, she studies the pedagogy behind best teaching practices for us, so for us students, to become better every day, become better, more effective readers and writers. Thank you to all of three of you. Without you, the competition wouldn't be possible. Thank you for your time and for your expertise. Next is the guest of honor of tonight. This is Professor Li Poi-Si. It's an honor for me to introduce her. Professor Li Poi-Si is the President Chair Professor of Material Science and Engineering at NTU here in Singapore. She's the Dean of Graduate College and Associate Provost for Graduate Education. Her current research focuses on developing stretchable elastomeric composites for electronics and energy devices, human machines interfaces, sensors and actuators, and hybrid materials for soft robotics. She received the 2015 Tech Connect Innovation Award in Washington, the Nanyang Research Award in 2016, the Nanyang Award for Innovation and Entrepreneurship Award in 2017. She was awarded with the NRF Investigatorship in 2016 and listed as a highly cited researcher by Claria White Analytics in 2018 until 2021. Her election as the National Academy of Inventors Fellow in 2020 is the highest professional distinction accorded solely to academics inventors. Professor Li is inducted as the MRS Fellow 2022 in the United States, and she receives the SNIC ASCA 2019 Distinguished Woman Chemist Award in 2022. It's a pleasure, it's an honor for me to have you here, Professor Li Poi-Si. Please, we are looking forward to your speech.
Sure, thanks, Philip, for the lengthy discussion on my CV. A very warm welcome to all. It is my great honor to welcome you to this much awaited event, the 2022 3MT NTU Finals. The 3MT is a university-wide competition that graduate students showcase their leading-edge research to a non-specialist audience in just 3 minutes. Our NTU graduate students always intrigue audiences with their cutting-edge ideas, ranging from science, engineering, business, and humanities. Students are encouraged to pitch and consolidate their ideas through this exercise. And this is a platform to foster collaborations among students to address global challenges on environmental sustainability, viable energy solutions, future healthcare, aging, and many other wide-ranging complex issues. NTU aims to integrate innovative and interdisciplinary thinking across the university and strengthen NTU's role as a global leading player in catalyzing development of breakthrough ideas that will create societal impact. Therefore, it is important that our graduates are trained to communicate well and explain their ideas and their findings to potential employers, funding agencies, and policymakers, as well as other stakeholders in general. Faculty members representing different schools or colleges in the university have served as judges and contributed to the selection of the finalists. Several workshops have been conducted by the library to provide training support to the students. And CITS has rendered their support on video recordings for the 3MT competition. I acknowledge their contributions to the 3MT finals. And I'm also thankful to witness the dedication of the Graduate Students Association, especially led by Aaron and Ernest's team, the Students Affairs Office, the Language Communication Center, as well as Graduate College in working together in making this event a success. So last but not least, the competition could not have happened without your dedication and enthusiasm from all the participants and today's finalists. The skills that you develop, the connection and the network that you build through this event will be with you for the rest of your life. It can take you to places that you may not have anticipated and all the best for today's competition. We are proud of you and your dedication. It is my pleasure to be able to join you to witness the wonderful performance of the students today, and I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I do. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you for your speech, Professor Lee Poissy. Very inspiring speech. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, for taking your time. Thank you so much. Next is the finalists. So we're digging into the competition, but let me say something before we start. In the end, we will have audience choice award. So it's not only the jury who is gonna decide on the finalists. So it's also for you to decide about the audience choice award, which we will give out later during this competition. Okay, so please keep in mind the names which you like the most, the presentations which you like the most. First finalist of tonight's competition is Narang Aditi. She's a third-year PhD student in EEE. Her research is on power reserve control, photovoltaic power plants, and sustainable energy. And this is her with her talk about control of grid-connected solar power plants. Please.
Today, Europe is on the verge of war. Part of the reason is that a country thinks it has an upper hand over another country just because of its abundance in fossil fuels. That is why, now more than ever, is the time and need to choose renewables such as solar, not just because of sustainable, but also because of geopolitical reasons. Solar energy is clean and contributes to a country's energy security. The power or electricity generated in the solar panels is sent into the grid, which is then consumed by the loads. In a power versus voltage characteristic of a solar plant, the topmost point is called the maximum power point, or the MPP. Conventionally, the MPP is the operation point for solar power plants to extract the maximum possible power. But we know that the sun's intensity is not constant throughout the day. That means the power sent into the grid at 12 noon is much higher than the power sent into the grid at 5 p.m. So that means we are sending a varying power into the grid, which is detrimental for the grid health and undesirable by grid codes and standards. This can be solved by adding energy storage or batteries into the system, but that sharply increases the overall cost. So, to solve this problem, I came up with a control solution called Reserve Power Point Tracking, or RPPT. In this control solution, the operation is performed by operating at a power lower than the maximum power point such that a constant power is sent into the grid, even though the sun's intensity is varying. The operation is performed such that we know what is the maximum power at all times, and hence we know what is the power reserve available, that is, the difference between the maximum power and the operating power. This power reserve can be used as a virtual battery, which can be used to replace part of the physical battery and can account up to 20 to 25% reduction in the size of the physical battery. This virtual battery is not only cost effective but also grid friendly. Hence, this solution facilitates a higher penetration of solar energy into the grid and is a step towards a more sustainable future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the interesting talk, a very current topic, I would say. Second finalist of today is Sadar Burak.
Today, your
Sadar Burak now, yes, exactly. So he's a third-year PhD student in computer science, and his research is on semantic video retrieval with machine learning. So something that we are used to every day when we are Googling on, when we are searching things on YouTube. That's his talk with the name "Don't Get Lost on YouTube via Semantic Video Retrieval Model."
When was the last time you got lost on YouTube or other video-based social media platforms? while you were just looking for only useful tips? Especially when you need them urgently, you would be frustrated with spending your time and energy on irrelevant videos. In our work, we address this problem by developing a deep learning-based semantic video retrieval system. We want to provide such a system that everyone can surf smoothly on video-based platforms. But is this a really big problem? Yes, and it's getting bigger every day. According to the latest report, the amount of data traffic online will be around 400 exabytes per month this year. Interestingly, the video data corresponds to 71% of this enormous data traffic, which makes my research more intriguing. Another point is that video-based social media platforms are everywhere with millions of active users all around the world, thanks to TikTok's challenge. Let's imagine this. You type a textual query on YouTube and you want to get the most related video on your top 3 ranks, if you feel lucky. You click on the video on the first rank since you thought it would be the most related. After spending some time, you realize that it's not. Then you desperately scroll all the way down to find the one you wanted. However, no chance. You give up already. Previous methods don't address semantic matching since they only use global features from text and video. We address semantic matching while we using local features as well as a deep learning based hierarchical deep learning approach so that we can catch the fine-grained details of the text and video. Let's imagine this again. After we solve this problem by having a semantic map between text and video, then we could solve so many other things like video captioning, video summarization, etc. For example, you could ask YouTube to summarize your favorite videos daily. Wouldn't that be useful? My research will help you find what you search for in the fastest time and make it sustainable so that you can scroll all the way down and reliable. With our deep learning based semantic video retrieval system, you will never get lost again in social media channels. Thank you.
Thank you for this interesting talk. And the third finalist is Chi Nicole. She's a final year PhD student in interdisciplinary science in MSc. Her research is on structure property relationship of gelatin extracted from food waste. So I don't eat fish, but in the next talk, it's about fish, so fish remains, with the title, very interesting, a study, upcycling aquaculture food waste, a study of the structure property relationship of gelatin. Please.
When you are eating a fish fillet or a slice of sashimi, have you ever wondered what happens to its skin? Well, it is often discarded as food waste. The aquaculture industry is one of the largest contributors to food waste, generating about 32 million tons of waste each year. From filleting processes, the skin and bones alone make up 30% of this waste. With the increasing population and growing demand for more skinless fish products and delicacies such as sashimi, more of such food waste are being generated. However, this food waste is rich in collagen and its derivative, gelatin. So instead of discarding them at waste disposal facilities, which are not sustainable for land-scarce countries like Singapore, and also resulting in global warming from gaseous emissions, we can extract the collagen, reconstruct them, and upcycle them to high-value products. In my PhD research, I studied the structure-property relationship of gelatin extracted from the skin of various fish species discarded by a local fish supplier from its filleting process. Gelatin is known for its good gelling properties, and the gel properties varies from species to species. Gelatin strands undergo self-assembly when cooled to low temperatures and form a gel with a well-ordered structure which melts upon heating. The addition of a chemical crosslinker will make this gelation irreversible, at the same time changing the gel structure and its properties. Commercially available gelatin is largely derived from mammalian sources and used in tissue engineering applications, pharmaceutical industries, as well as in food. However, mammalian gelatin carries the risk of transmission of common diseases and also has religious issues unlike fish gelatin. Additionally, their use in the current applications do not require them to withstand temperatures higher than that of the human body of 37 degrees Celsius. So with the right chemical crosslinker, we will be able to obtain gelatin gels with high thermal stability, and with the incorporation of different cross-linking parameters, as well as the combination use of different fish gelatin, we will be able to tune the structures of these gels, changing their properties. Through the understanding of this structure-property relationship of gelatin, we will be able to come up with a platform to obtain gelatin gels with a wide range of properties for a myriad of applications suitable for use at high temperatures. So turning aquaculture food waste into a valuable resource. So the next time you eat a slice of sashimi or fish fillet, think about the endless possibilities of its skin. Thank you.
Thank you for this interesting talk. A very nice idea. Next finalist is Colton Collins. He's a third-year PhD student in the Asian School of Environment. His research is on plant-soil interactions in tropical peatlands, and I didn't know what peatlands are, but now I hope that we're all going to know about it. So please, this is Colton Collins with the presentation, What are peatlands?
What are peatlands? To be honest, I wasn't so sure in the beginning either, but thanks to curiosity and a bit of field research, I can now share with you the answer to two questions. Number one, what are peatlands? And two, why should peatlands be conserved? Now, peatlands are fascinating ecosystems that store more carbon than all other forests in the world combined, and they're home to hundreds of endangered species. Now, in order to understand what makes peatlands unique, we have to understand how they are formed. So I want you to imagine a lake, as in panel A, and this lake is surrounded by forests on all sides. And over time, leaves, branches, and even entire trees themselves fall into this lake. Then over tens of thousands of years, this lake eventually fills up, creating a dome-like structure in figure B. Now, when plant material decomposes, it releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. However, under anoxic conditions, aka underwater, decomposition is minimal, meaning these dome-like structures are actually giant carbon sinks. Now, above ground, plants and trees have adapted to grow on this unusual waterlogged substrate, and we're talking about your wild rambutan, wild durian species, 70-meter-tall shiraya trees, and this, of course, is home to a diversity of animals, including freshwater fish swimming below. You have your endangered tigers hunting your wild boars on the forest floor, and up in the canopy, there are critically endangered orangutan tree hopping. So why should these carbon-rich peatlands, which are home to endangered species, be conserved? Well, peatlands are often converted to agricultural lands, and this is done first by draining the peat, or draining the water away from the peat, which allows the top layer of peat to dry out. Simply by drying out, decomposition is able to occur, which releases gigatons of carbon into the atmosphere. Once the peat is dried, it is often intentionally burned. And with this burning, carbon is released below ground and above ground as well. So much carbon is released that burning alone in Indonesia in a single year was equivalent to all the UK economy for that same year. Now, these gigatons of carbon being released into the atmosphere contributes to climate change. This burning also releases particulate matter into the atmosphere, which is terrible for anyone with lungs or anything with lungs to breathe in. In addition, this burning destroys habitats which took tens of thousands of years to form, meaning that these endangered species are that much closer to extinction. And these are just a few reasons why we should conserve peatlands. So thank you for your time. I hope the next time somebody asks you, you have a better understanding of what are peatlands.
Yes, we do. That's good. Thank you so much for the nice talk. Next finalist is Wang Xinyuan with a complete different topic. So she's a PhD student at Art, Design and Media, ADM. Her research is on Chinese animation history, so traditional cultures and their representations. So this is her with the presentation with the title Changing Representations of Traditional Cultures in Chinese Animation Adaptations. Please.
All of us must have watched animations, and we can easily identify different kinds of animations, such as classical Disney animation and Japanese animation. There is a unique Chinese animation called the National Style. It was produced between the 1950s to 1980s. It can be represented by some classical Chinese animated feature films such as Havoc in Heaven and哪吒Conquers the Dragon King. However, this kind of unique animation style has been lost forever. While the national style has perfectly combined the traditional culture into the animation style, the modern Chinese animations are mostly in regular CG animation style without any characteristic. So what are the possible reasons accounting for the different animation styles, and what are the possible reasons accounting for the loss of the national style? To answer this question, my research proposed that the different representation of traditional culture in the animations are the main reason accounting for this change. And my research is the comparative study of the changing representation of traditional culture in the animations produced in different time periods, but based on the same stories of two classical Chinese normal characters, which are Monkey King and哪吒. The previous study have proven the main socio-political reason behind the change. It is that the national style was produced under the political mission, and it has fully financial support from the government. But after the 1990s, the Chinese animation industry has been changed into the market-oriented system. It brought out a problem that the modern Chinese animation just simply sacrificed the meaning of traditional culture and the artistic value of the national style to achieve the economic success. The national style enjoyed a high artistic reputation among the world animation history. So by conducting the comparative study to analyze the artistic element in the animations, my research will aim to find out how the artistic design will affect the extent of expressing the traditional culture in the Chinese animations.
Perfect. Thank you so much for this interesting talk. We're going back to engineering, I would say. This is the next finalist, Jayaraj Radhakrishnan. He's a final year student at Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, MAE. His research is on mechanical behavior of 3D printed metals. So it's about materials again. This is his presentation with the title, Enabling the Adoption of Additively Manufactured Metals. Please.
As a sports enthusiast, I'm equally enticed to visit the Alliance Arena in Munich or the Bird's Nest in Beijing. Both are engineering marvels in their own right. However, something is very attractive about the Bird's Nest. The intricate structure is made by a topologically optimized design, which are very efficient. They can bring down mass and save cost. Using such applications in automotive and aerospace field can also improve the fuel efficiency. However, such structures are extremely difficult to manufacture using conventional methods like rolling, forging, or welding. These can be called as CM. With the advent of additive manufacturing or AM, it is possible to create such intricate structures layer by layer by actually adding the material rather than removing it. So the designers can sit in their computers, in front of their computers, to create or engineer these structures without the hassles of the conventional methods. However, AM has a chink in its armor. The porosities that are created in AM are large and highly tortuous, very sharp. These pores can act as sites for crack initiation and cause unpredictable failure. Larger and higher the size of these pores, the more dangerous it is. Hence, 90% of the service applications can fail using by the cracks that are created in such pores. That is why the conventional methods are still outperforming additive manufactured alloys over the long run. My PhD thesis is to tackle this issue. one of the most important question my PhD thesis is going to address is whether the mechanical properties of AM alloys can outperform or at least tip the balance towards the CM alloy. To answer this question, I basically cooked steel samples manufactured by AM. Similar to a medium rare or a well done meat, I was able to create structures which are soft or hard that improve the fatigue performance of the alloy. Additionally, I also was able to apply a simultaneous combination of temperature and pressure to reduce the size and the fraction of porosities. This is just like cooking chicken inside a pressure cooker to remove the harmful parasites. With that, I was able to achieve a mechanical performance very similar to that of a CM. The key was to attain an optimized combination of temperature, pressure, and time based on the metallurgical fundamentals. Thus, it gives a good pathway for AM based alloys to be adopted in industrial applications based on my PhD research. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this nice talk. The next finalist is Kalia Perumal Arun Kumar with a very interesting talk. He's a third-year PhD student at the Li Kongqian School of Medicine, LKC. And fun fact about him, he already has a doctor title, a medical doctor, so he's a surgeon. And in his thesis, it's going about fishes and about the special bone. So this is his presentation, Fishing for a Cure, please.
Imagine going out on a hike and you get to this remote lake where you see this one person sitting on the rock and fishing. Well, that would be me. Now, what I'm looking for here is a special type of fish, one that has the capability to form bone outside of its skeleton. Yes, bone in places in its body where there shouldn't be bone normally. Yes, weird, right? That is what I'm looking for. Not many want to find a fish with such capabilities. One reason is because they're not interested. The other is they're rather focusing to find the same in other animals to meet their needs. That is why I should say that this lake, which represents the rare disease field that I'm working on, is least visited. This is also the case with many other rare disease research that is going on in this world. People are not interested, and those that are interested are kind of scattered around, leaving researchers like me lonely, as you see here. But fish here are plenty. They are easy to catch and easy to handle, especially the zebrafish, the tiny little one. That is why I've chosen to do fishing and in this lake. But the fish that I catch from here don't have this bone-forming capability by nature. I have to induce it by some means. Now, how I'm going to do that, that is where my project comes into play. Let me explain. You know what happens when we get injured? Imagine not necessarily a severe injury, but just bumps and bruises. There are two possibilities. One, it could get completely healed. Two, there could be scar formation. But in some rare circumstances, there could be a mix-up in this regenerative process, and because of which one tissue forms in place of another. For example, bone forms in place of soft tissues. This is called ectopic bone formation, a very rare disease and also very difficult to treat. In fact, the only available treatment so far is to let this extra bone grow and do surgery to remove it once it is fully grown. But that takes a while. And also, during this period, the disability it brings is very debilitating. So if such kind of a mix-up in the bone regenerative process and that leading to extra bone formation can happen in humans, why not in fish? Why not in other animals? So by doing certain procedures in the zebrafish under anesthesia, I have found that fish do form this ectopic bone. Now that this is possible, the underlying mechanism of how this bone is forming can be decoded, and this fish with this bone-forming capability can be used to test drugs that could possibly mitigate this condition in humans. By doing so, we get one step closer to finding a cure for this rare, unresolved clinical puzzle for which a definite medical cure is yet to be discovered. And all this with a little help from the tiny zebrafish. Thank you.
Thank you, Arun, for this interesting talk. And I'm sure we're gonna come with him the next time he's going fishing. We're going back to engineering. Next finalist is Li Yuin. She's a final year PhD student from the School of Material Science and Engineering. Her research is on laser-induced phase engineering. of multi-metallic materials. And yeah, she's Emeritus Director for MSc Graduate Student Club and nominated as the member of the Women Leaders in Science by the Elsevier Foundation. So that is a big achievement. As I said, it's about lasers. It's particularly interesting, and this is her talk with the title, Making Extremely Hard Material Within Seconds by Laser Beam. Please.
2,000 years ago, an ancient Chinese blacksmith made a legendary sword for King Goujian of Yu. Forged from copper and tin, it is renowned for its unusual hardness and sharpness even till today. The secret behind its extraordinary properties is accounted to the ratio of copper and tin in the metal alloy. However, the construction process of the alloys is complex. By mixing and melting the metals under high temperatures, followed by repeated times of quenching and cooling. It takes multiple days to produce the final metal. Now, imagine you can make this sword within seconds. Do you think it's possible? The answer is yes. In my research, by applying a laser as the heating source for several seconds, we can precisely control the combination of copper and tin under different laser power. Metal species have different laser energy absorbance abilities, and copper items compared to tin have a higher heating absorbance ability. When heated under low laser power, copper items will first absorb the energy, while tin items will absorb the remaining energy. Hence, a large amount of copper items will start to move and combine with a small amount of tin. The resultant materials will have a large content of copper. When laser power increases, more tin items will begin to absorb the energy and recrystallize with the copper items. However, if the applied laser power is too high, the copper items, which absorb too much energy, will diffuse away and be eliminated from the surface, resulting in a higher content of tin and a trace amount of copper. Too much copper or tin will result in a weaker metal. To get the perfect hardness, we must control the right percentage of copper and tin. And by applying different laser heating parameters, we can easily control this percentage. This technique works not only for the copper tin system, but also for all other metals. In my project, we can now control the composition percentage for up to 5 metal species in one system, which enable us to further explore more varieties of alloys and their mechanical properties. Combined with programmable processes, these hardened alloys will enable us to explore more innovative materials for aerospace or medicine. They can be used as a coating layer to improve the lifespan of devices. Soon, there will be an automatic laser machine which can customize the medical implants based on patients' needs. And all it takes is just a few seconds.
Thank you so much for this interesting talk. And yeah, next, so we have seen the first 8 finalists of today's competition. There are very, very interesting presentations, and now we're going to do a break for 5 minutes. We were going to continue at 8:15, so 7:45, and in the meantime, I encourage you to get yourself enriched here in the participation draw. So please scan the QR code. There is to win is twice a $10 voucher of the Prime Supermarket. So please, the link is also in the chat, or you can participate by using your phone and scanning the QR code. So we're going to spin the wheel in a couple of minutes, and until then, we'll make a short break. Please give us a second until we can decide on the two winners. My colleague is going to share the spinning wheel. Do you see the spinning wheel? Yes, we do. So now it's up to the wheel who decides of the two lucky winners, please. The first one. It is Amaya Sini who won the first $10 voucher of Prime Supermarket. Congratulations to you. Very good. So, and we do it a second time. We spin the wheel a second time, please. Apurva. And we have the second winner. It's Huanyu Bao. Congratulations also to you. And we're gonna contact you for the vouchers. They will be yours in a couple of minutes or hours. And please give me a couple of seconds to share back the screen. This one, yes. Now you should see the screen again. So perfect. After the little break, we are refreshed again to see the other 9 finalists. So the second part of today's evening. And the first finalist of the second part is Lin Shugong. And she's a third-year PhD student from the School of Humanities. Her research is on verbal visual interplay in children's book. So something very interesting. It's about picture books and about design. And with the title, The Secret of Picture Books, How Text and Image Work Together. We're very much looking forward to it.
Can you really understand the picture book? Yes, you heard it right. The picture book designed for children, as we often say. If you are a teacher or librarian, you might easily observe that many children or even parents will turn the pages quickly and put the book down once they have finished the story. Is this really effective reading? How is the interaction between words and images in the picture book affect your readers? What are the benefits of analyzing picture books thoroughly? In my thesis, I primarily focus on the verbal-visual interplay in the picture book from the perspective of multimodal discourse, and how children make meaning in the process of dual reading, especially under the guidance of adults with different levels of visual literacy. Multimodal theory is an idea that language and image are each seen as a separate semiotic system. When these systems work together in a text, they may contribute or to conflict with each other. It might take a while to understand a single page. For example, in the book Nothing Happened, created by Mark Jason, you will find 2 children sitting on a tiger's head and jumping over the tail, while the title says Nothing Happened. This inconsistent information will arouse the reader's curiosity to think about what is going on here, also leaving room to look into the text carefully through asking questions. My research is a new approach to re-examine what we all think is so simple and overlooked. A picture book is a kind of multimodal text which embodies 3 kinds of meanings simultaneously: the ideational metafunction, the interpersonal metafunction, and textual metafunction. Using the theory of multimodality allows us to consider in a very systematic way the contribution of each semiotic to the construction of any story, and the varied nature of the interplay between them. In addition, my attention to the materiality of the picture book and the physical gestures involved in reading, for example, the act of turning pages, is also increasingly linked to the cognitive theories that shed new light on visual perception. Reading with strategies leads us to the joy of positive meaning seeking. It gives us a great sense of fulfillment and autonomy. Parents and librarians are encouraged to master this reading capacity so that this joy could deeply cultivated in our children's early memory. Not only for children, but also for adults, we all could get better resilience from close reading. Nothing seems to have happened, but much has happened. Thank you.
Thank you for this interesting talk about picture books. The next finalist is Lu Mongting, and she's a third-year PhD student from S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies. Her research is on political violence and foreign investment, and her talk is about these kind of subjects with the title, Why Terrorism Does Not Drive Away Foreign Investments. Please.
If you have millions of dollars and are investing in property abroad, will you buy a house in France or Somalia? France may sound better, but the two countries experienced similar number of terrorist attacks. Terrorism can cause damage to human life and infrastructures. The most shocking terrorist attack in France happened in November 2015, which claimed more than 100 lives and caused an economic loss of $2.1 billion, or the equivalent to the annual GDP of Bhutan. Will you still buy a house in France when terrorism is present? The answer for some investors is yes. Actually, the amount of foreign investment in France increased a year later after the attack. Why? Post-literature tends to find a negative link between terrorism and foreign investment. But they didn't tell why terrorism does not drive away foreign investment in some countries. My research tries to provide an answer by adding the competing effect of good and bad factors that will influence the decision-making of foreign investors. Imagine, you are a yoga seeker, choosing between healthy but tangy original Greek-style yogurt and unhealthy but tasty ones with artificial sweetener. If you prioritize a healthy diet, then go for Greek style, no matter how awful the taste is. Foreign investors face similar trade-off. After a large analysis of data from 156 countries through 20 years, I found that the interaction between terrorism and foreign investment is positive and significant. That means if investors value credible institutions in a country, then the impact of terrorism is less important. Credible institutions, to be specific, suggest that the house you bought abroad will not be taken by foreign government, and the property tax will remain at a reasonable level. In the case of France, investors come and stay because the country ranked high in credibility. My research provides policy suggestions for developing countries, and I hope we can eliminate poverty in the world by teaching countries how to attract foreign investment through building a credible institutions. So, if consumers choose between taste and health, foreign investors choose between credible institutions and terrorism.
Thank you so much for this interesting talk. Now we're going back to engineering again, or let's say physics. Next finalist is Nusub Bekrov Ayan. He's a final year PhD student at my school, SPMS, and his research is on free electron interaction with nanomaterials. So it's about televisions, very interesting, high quality televisions, which would be cool for all of us, with the title Compact Light Sources, Ways to Watch TV at Nanoscale. Please.
Have you ever watched classic comedy hit of 1989, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? In the movie, struggling inventor accidentally shrink his kids along with the neighbor kids down to the size of quarter-inch, or roughly 6 millimeters. Out of curiosity, can you imagine what size of a TV should be so that the shrunk kids could watch the movie they starred in? Well, simple calculations show that the standard size 40-inch TV should be as small as 1/10 of an inch, or 3.5 millimeters, the same size as phone's audio jack. It means that each pixel size, which is what modern TVs are made of, should be smaller than the human cell size. Now from fiction, let's get back to reality. Could we actually design such TVs? Yes, we can. Though not for watching TVs, but for applications such as quantum sensing and quantum computers. Achieving quantum level of accuracy and detection size is of utmost importance for the future technological progress, and our device can help in that via creating
light source at nanometer scale. And one of the important ingredients of such light source is electron. Electron is lightest stable subatomic particle known. You've probably heard of it from electron microscopes, which use electron bunch to shoot at the nanostructures to actually see them. Or maybe you heard them from the electron guns, which were widely used in those old and bulky TVs of the past. In any case, we found out that when you shoot the electrons through nano-sized hole made in metal, such as gold or silver, you can generate visible light. Well, not visible to the naked eye, but visible via microscope. The natural question is what makes electrons passing through the hole to generate light? The answer is vibrations of the metal. As electron goes through the metal, the electrons inside the metal react to the incoming electron, creating invisible ripples on the surface of the metal. By placing bumps or grooves around the hole, we could extract the energy of those ripples into the light waves. Moreover, by changing the parameters of those grooves and bumps, we can create light of different colors, red, blue, or any other color you want. One of the examples where we use such light source as a sensing of molecules, where molecules could be placed inside the hole and the light could be used as a mediator to tell the processes that are happening inside the molecules. In conclusion, although the movie is fiction, the shrinking of devices to the nanometer scale is real. And I believe such devices could help us better understand the quantum nature of the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this interesting talk. And now we're going from physics directly to biology. Next finalist is Po Cheng Wei. He's a second-year PhD student at the School of Biological Sciences, and his research is on investigating the basis of liquid-liquid phase separations in diatoms. Its talk is about the food output for us in the world, and with the title Turbocharging Photosynthesis, Learning from Diatoms. Let me try again. Yes.
Did you know that by 2050, the world's population will be too large to feed? Researchers have estimated that even if we maximize all available farmland, the food output will still not be enough to feed everyone. Coupled with fast population growth and climate change, global food shortages are fast becoming a reality. So, how do we progress from here? One of the key ways to increasing food output lies in enhancing the rate of photosynthesis. Primarily, we can do so by increasing the amount of carbon dioxide available to the enzyme rubisco, which is the main carbon fixation enzyme involved in photosynthesis. And by doing so, more carbon dioxide can be converted into sugars for crop plant. Now, to understand how we can channel more carbon dioxide to rubisco, we take a look at another photosynthetic organism, the diatom Phylodectum trichonutum. In the body of this organism, there lies an organelle called the pyrenoid, which is capable of scavenging carbon dioxide and concentrating rubisco, in turn enhancing the rate of photosynthesis. Unlike other well-known organelles which has lipid membrane, this organelle is membraneless and is believed to be formed through a process known as liquid-liquid phase separation. My project tries to understand the basis of phase separation within the pyrenoid to better understand how different components of the pyrenoid come together to enhance rubisco's efficiency. And we do so via identification of protein components within the pyrenoid and characterizing these proteins biochemically and structurally. Ultimately, an in vitro reconstitution of the pyrenoid will allow us to gain better insight into how the diatom supercharges rubisco's efficiency. Translational application of such systems through biosynthetic engineering would then be a technological breakthrough capable of solving global food shortages. Thank you.
Thank you for this interesting contribution. And we're going from biology back to, or not back to, but forward to social sciences, to a very important topic for our elderly friends. Next finalist is Stephanie Hilary Marchini. She's a third-year PhD student from the School of Social Sciences, and her research is on the impacts of arts, heritage, and cultural interventions on psychological well-being. So it's about aging in Singapore, with the title Aging Artfully in Singapore, Exploring the Health and Well-being Impact of Participatory Arts and Cultural Heritage Engagements Among Older Adults. We are very much looking forward.
We are faced with a rapidly aging population, and 1 in 4 of us will be aged 60 and above by 2030. With medical advancements, we are living longer lives, but are we living meaningful and fulfilling lives? Let's imagine ourselves approaching 60. How would we like to age? Would we be staring at the whitewashed walls, waiting for time to pass? Or is there something that we could look forward to as we age? Well, my research looks at how we could potentially age well with the arts. But you may be wondering, isn't this established already? Even my ancestors have been singing and dancing in caves since the beginning of time. Well, my research not only looks at the impact of arts engagement on well-being, but I'm also looking at the mechanisms underlying this change. I begin with looking at over 400 international and individual research studies on this topic. And I also investigated local perceptions on this topic through 14 focus groups with seniors and senior service providers. So what I found is that engagement in the arts is effective in improving mental, emotional, social, and spiritual well-being among seniors. And not only that, there is an increasing interest in this, but engagement rates are still low. So armed with this information and guided by the needs of the community, I co-developed Artisan. Artisan is short for Aspiration and Resilience through Intergenerational Storytelling and Art-Based Narratives. Artisan is a 5-week intergenerational art program that pairs youth and seniors to engage in a journey of guided museum tours, intergenerational storytelling, and creative art making. So the pilot study is amazing because I have beautiful art pieces like this, and more importantly, very touching stories shared by the participants. So in the pilot study, the findings also show that Artisan is effective in improving resilience and reducing loneliness among the young and the old. With these robust findings, my team and I are interested to understand what made this program work. So we are currently conducting a 5-arm randomized control trial to see the different elements of a successful artisan program. It is my hope to contribute to the literature on this topic so that perhaps in the near future we could be prescribed an art program for our health and well-being, so that as we approach our 60s, we can look forward to living meaningful, colorful, resilient, and fulfilling lives with the arts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for this interesting talk, which is very important for our uncles and aunties. We're going to another topic. This is the next finalist, Sun Shanchan. She's a third-year PhD student from the School of Civil Engineering, SCE, and her research is on travel behavior. So basically on multitasking while traveling. So this means when we are in the MRT with the smartphone and not talking to each other, that's where she comes into play. With the title, Expanded Travel Behavior Model with Travel-Based Multitasking.
Hello everyone, my PhD focus talks about a daily issue, travel-based multitasking. Multitasking basically refers to perform multiple activities simultaneously, and the term travel-based puts this question into travel scenario. In fact, travel-based multitasking has been so popular in the modern society. Both in any types of transport service, it is very common to observe people playing with their smart devices. However, this has been nearly impossible during the olden days. In the past, as shown in the left picture, the transport service was crowded and people looked disappointed for the service. Therefore, the ultimate goal of transport engineering is try to reduce the travel time as much as we could. However, things have changed, especially during the technological breakthroughs. People are now enjoying a wider range of in-vehicle activities. At this junction, we start to ask questions. Do we still need to reduce travel time as much as we could? Because in some areas, especially in those densely populated areas, it has become increasingly difficult. And what does travel-based multitasking contain, and how to understand it? With those questions, we designed and conducted a survey in Singapore and managed to collect around 2,000 responses. In the findings, we managed to produce a multitasking typology, which categorizes all these in-vehicle activities into 5 groups, including social activity, traditional activity, passive, device-related, productive activities, and leisure activities. The practical implications for my findings can be very straightforward. It helps the authorities or policymakers to, with limited budgets, to decide which project to support. Those projects which can better facilitate in-vehicle activities can be given extra credits. It can also help the car manufacturers to better design the next generation of transport system. For example, the autonomous vehicle as shown in the right picture. Therefore, we would encourage more research to focus on travel-based multitasking behavior and expand our traditional travel behavior model as much as we could to better tackle these emerging travel needs and to produce an ideal transport service that can customize the user's emerging needs and by taking consideration of their travel time use patterns. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this interesting talk. And we're going again to business. The next finalist is Jun Zeting. She's a third-year PhD student at the NBS, Nanyang Business School. Her work is on sustainable and social entrepreneurship, and it's basically about starting a new business, but in which sector? So this is her talk with strategy of new ventures and social impacts.
Imagine that you're starting a business through which you seek to contribute to social and environmental impact while generating incomes from selling products and services to target customers. You would like to access philanthropic supports like grants and subsidies based on your social mission. And you wonder which strategy may give an advantage in pitching for philanthropic support, covering a larger number of impact areas or focusing on fewer impact areas. For example, a new venture can include more impact areas like education, women's rights, children and poverty eradications, and health. Or it can just focus on, say, women's rights. Covering more impact areas may convey the message of the potential of making a wider contribution to the society. But there may also be a concern about the lack of time and attention on each of the many committed impact areas, resulting in low effectiveness in the intended contributions. On the other hand, if a new venture focuses on fewer impact areas, it may be perceived to have more potential on making more substantial impacts on the intended beneficiaries. But the disadvantage is the narrower reach in terms of the number of beneficiaries as well as a segment in the society. In this study, we propose that new ventures with social missions may benefit from committing to more impact areas for garnering philanthropic support. It is because having more impact areas facilitates the young enterprises to appeal to more institutions and programs that have various objectives and funding criteria. Since new ventures do not have track record on their social performances, grantors rely on other factors such as the number of impact areas to evaluate the potential of the social venture. Based on a series of surveys conducted between 2013 and 2019 on over 8,000 young business ventures with social goals from more than 170 countries, we find support for our hypothesis that young businesses committed to more impact areas are associated with more philanthropic support obtained. From an academic front, this research contributes to the knowledge of social entrepreneurship financing. Past literature on entrepreneurship financing concentrates on variables associated with only equity or debt financing. Yet, social entrepreneurs can access additional funding type via philanthropy. On a practical front, the findings offer insights to entrepreneurs on positioning and strategic planning with their social and environmental goals.
Thank you so much for this interesting talk. The next finalist is Tai Chie Hao. He's a final year PhD student from the School of Chemical and Biomedical Engineering, and his research is on drug deliveries through the skin. So we're very much looking forward to it. This is his presentation with the title Overview of Bio-Inspired Flexible Microneedle Patch for Improved Transdermal Drug Delivery. Please.
Up to now, long-term disease like diabetes still requires invasive blood glucose measurement and insulin delivery, which is painful and often leads to wound infection. Besides that, we have all experienced vaccination, which requires to wait, queue, and even seek for trained clinicians' help. Imagine how convenient it could be if all of this can be done at home without any clinical supervision. So microneedle technology will be one of the potential solutions because it is so small that you yourself can patch it onto the skin to release the drug, and each needle is so fine that you could barely feel painful. However, it's still impossible with current technology because microneedle's drug loading capacity is very low such that it can't even reach the minimal therapeutic level and to be effective in human body. So the most straightforward way is then to increase number of microneedle on single array. But human skin is very flexible and having complex contour, which made uniform and effective penetration of such large patch nearly impossible. Since many scientific accomplishment is inspired by nature, we have then tried to look into it and realized that researchers had investigated on how ancient fish armor works, where they realized that each of these geometrically unique scales are aligned on a groovy, patterned skin tissue while having a functional organ to sense water movement. Surprisingly, it actually addresses and provides a promising solution to the bottleneck of our current microneedle technology. So in my PhD research, I first targeted on biomaterial hyaluronic acid for rapid drug delivery. And we have successfully reinforced HA system mechanically using silica network by 200% in terms of modulus and with minimal toxicity. And therefore, it performed better in skin penetration. Next, we then try to explore on how we could manipulate geometrical parameters of individual tip, like tip radius, length, or even density of the array through experiment and simulation to optimize and maximize drug loading capacity and penetration efficiency of the system. Finally, a flexible fractal cut substrate is adapted into the system where individual microneedles are assembled onto it. And we have proven that this configuration actually outperforms traditional rigid and existing flexible microneedle system in terms of skin conformity and drug delivery efficiency. And recently, we have also applied TD on integrating a conductive pathway using this fractal cut patch to detect glucose concentration. And hopefully, we could explore more opportunities with this system in the future to address more medical problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much to you for this nice talk. And we're already coming to the end of this event, of this evening, of the competition. So this is the last speaker that I'm gonna introduce. It is the finalist Xiong Feng, and she's a first-year PhD student in developmental psychology, and her research is on characteristics affecting academic performance. So us as a researcher, and basically how can we, or us as students, I need to say, how can we motivate students to become better learners, let's say. So this is her talk, the last talk of today. We're looking very much forward to it with the title Learning Motivation, the Secret of Higher Science Performance. Please.
When doing something difficult, have you ever used any rewards to motivate yourself? Yes, I see many of you are nodding. One of my best friends also promised herself to buy a Louis Vuitton after completing the thesis. Now me. And do these rewards truly help us to work harder and perform better? The following story may give you some insight and maybe save you some money. In 1962, one psychologist tested how rewards as a motivation affect students' performance in problem solving. He tested how fast his participant could fix a letter candle on the wall with a book of matches and a book of stamp tags, so that the wax from the candle would not drop onto the table below. The participants from the excellent group will receive cash rewards ranging from $5 to $20, depends on the ranking, but not for the control group. Question: how fast did the excellent group solve the problem compared to the control group? Answer, it took them on average 3.5 minutes slower. Whoa, the rewards actually hindered the performance. Therefore, I asked myself that, what kind of motivation could exactly promote student e-learning? With this question, I adopted the multiple linear regression to test how interest, enjoyment, instrumental motivation, as well as self-efficacy predict student science performance. The participants were sampled from UK and Singapore, as I also wanted to know, are there any cross-sectional similarities or differences in terms of the predictive function? So here what I found. First, both interest and enjoyment significantly predict student science performance in UK and Singapore. By contrast, the instrumental motivation did not produce any predictive functions. And most interestingly, the predictive power of self-efficacy varies across countries. It was the strongest predictor in UK, but not in Singapore. So, what we could gain from the current finding? First, the secret of higher sense performance may not relate to the external stimuli, but intrinsic drives to student own sake. And next time, when your sibling told you they want to choose a science-related major purely because of the instrumentality, you may stop them with the reason that, you may not got the straight A. And for educators, we also need to take the national differences into consideration in both policymaking and classroom teaching.
Thank you for this last contribution, for the last presentation of tonight of this 3MT 2022 here at NTU. And so now we have seen all the 17 participants, all the 17 finalists that came out of their respective school, and it's about you to choose for the best presentation that you like the most via this QR code. So please scan the QR code and fill in the presentation that you like the most. This is the Audience Choice Award, which is decided by us, by the audience, so by you. Besides of that, we will also ask our jury, and they will decide on the ranking of, let's say, the first, second, and third place. And but this here is basically up to you, up to the audience, to choose your best presentation that you like the most. Please do so. There is also the link in the chat, I hope, yes. And we're gonna make a short break. So you have, as we did it the whole night, so you have exactly 3 minutes to do that. So it's the 3 minutes thesis competition. You also have 3 minutes to do the Audience Choice Award, please. Perfect. We are back at the 3NT. The poll will be closed in a couple of seconds, so there is nothing else can be changed after that. And before we are going to the Audience Choice Award, we are first announcing the winners of tonight, the winners of the 3 Minutes Thesis Competition 2022 here in NTU Singapore. And before I do that, let me make two statements. So first, I would like to thank again the jury for taking their time. I'm sure they have a busy life as researchers and other things to do than voting on presentations. So thank you so much for your time and for your expertise. And second, these 3 finalists, they will go to the Singaporean National 3NT competition. So this will be approximately in 1 month, I think. And so these 3 winners that I will announce now in the following, they will make their way further and will represent NTU in other competitions. So we wish them all good luck, independent of who it is. We wish them all good luck for their further competitions. And we are now going to announce the second runner-up. So this is the 3rd place. The second runner-up of tonight's competition. This place goes to the presentation of Li Yuyin. Congratulations with the title, Making Extremely Hard Material Within Seconds by Laser Beams. So this was the presentation with lasers. Thank you so much, and congratulations to you for the 3rd place. You will be representing us at the national finals. And the 2nd place, this is the 1st runner-up of tonight, is the presentation of Xiongfeng. Congratulations also to you. Her title was Learning Motivation, the Secret of Higher Science Perform. So she was the last presenter of today. Sometimes that's not the worst thing that you can have. And also she will be representing NTU in the Singaporean finals. So good luck to you too. Then we're coming to the winner of tonight, to the winner of the 3 Minutes Thesis Competition 2022. And solely decided by our experienced jury. They have chosen for the presentation of the student Stephanie Hilary Machini. Congratulations from all of us. Very well done. With the title Aging Artfully in Singapore, Exploring the Health and Well-being Impact of Participatory Arts and Cultural Heritage Engagements Among Older Adults. We congratulate you from all of us, and we wish you good luck for the further competitions, and hopefully you're gonna make some wins for NTU. Please, good luck to all 3 of you. And at the same time, thank you so much to all other participants for their interesting presentation. I think this also deserves a round of applause besides the winners. Thank you so much for contributing to this nice evening. And the next thing that we're gonna do, and Apurva is gonna help me here. She's gonna share the screen. We have this winner of the Audience Choice Award, and this is Kalia Perumal Arun Kumar. Congratulations to you. Very well done. You have been chosen as the most interesting presentation from the audience. Congratulations to you. And so give me a second to change back the slides. No, we don't need to change back. So we have at the end the speech of our president of the Graduate Student Association from NTU. So please, it's an honor to me to introduce you, Ernest Tang Chun Jie. The word is yours, please. We are looking forward to your speech.
All right, okay, thank you, Philip. All right, once again, thank you everyone for all the presentation. I would like to take this opportunity to thank few of the people over here that made everything possible. So first and foremost, I would like to thank our Graduate College Dean, Prof. Lipisi, for being our guest of honor and the wonderful speech, opening speech today. And also our distinguished guests which are here today. So we have Deputy, just give me a moment. Sorry, yeah. We have our Deputy Associate Provost for Student Wellbeing, Vivian Huan, and also our distinguished guests also, SAO Director, Ms. Tan Seok Sang, and our SAO Deputy Director, Ms. Wendy Gui. Also, I would like to thank our various collaborators, which has made everything possible, which in this case, few of our collaborators, which includes the Graduate College, Student Affairs Office, NTU Library, Nanyang Scholars Toastmaster Club, LCC Communication Cube, Teaching, Learning and Pedagogy Department. And last but not least, I also want to thank all our judges, which in this case, our professors who have taken the time. So Prof. George Augustine, Dr. Elaine Fong, Dr. Angela Frappella, for taking the time to be our judges also. And last but not least, the winners and the organizers for this 3MT, our 3 winners. It was a very, very interesting talk, 3 minutes talk, and I hope that you guys will be able to represent NTU in the national finals. As for organizers, our GSA academic team, led by Arun, and also our academic director, Chia Ping, and team, including our MC Philip, a very job well done. For rest of participants, thank you for attending tonight, and we hope to see you again. And for those who have not attended 3MT, we hope that you'll participate in the next series of 3MT next year. With this, I'll thank you all for your time today and have a good night ahead. Now, Philip, I think back to you.
Thank you so much, Ernest, for your speech, for your words. And we are almost done. It's also up to me to thank our guest of honor, Professor Li Poissy, to thank the student admin office for their help in preparing this event. Thank you so much. I would like to thank the jury once again, without whom it wouldn't be possible to have this event. Thank you so much, Professor George Augustine. Thank you very much, Dr. Aileen Fong Wen Mei. Thank you very much, Dr. Angela Frattarolo. And then, of course, I would like to thank the participants, the finalists, who really did a great job tonight. And we also have the organizers sitting next to me in this studio, which certainly slowly gets warm in my jacket. But so we have here next to me Apurva, who helped me a lot holding hands. We have Jojen, we have Shruti being at home. Hopefully she's getting better. We have Jiaping, our responsible person, let's say, and we have Arun at the top of the table. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank my people who helped me to translate the Indian and Chinese name. This was Chikun and Daying and Krishnan. Thank you so much. In that sense, I wish the finalists, the winners, all the best for the finals, the Singaporean finals coming up in 1 month approximately. Good luck to all of you, and we are going to see each other next year again when it's the 3 minutes thesis competition 2023. In that sense, I wish you all a nice evening. Please stay interested. Keep your scientific spirit up. It's cool. Thank you so much. I wish you goodbye.